Hi, I'm Randy Wooden, and welcome to another in our Edge Library series. We're talking to job hunters about recruiters, and this will be part 6 in our series, so lots of information, and it's really good stuff you need to know about recruiters. It's a lot of times recruiters perform a sort of behind-the-scenes function, and you as a job hunter, uh, you think that recruiters work for you. You expect recruiters to return your phone calls and messages, and when those things don't always happen, sometimes it builds up, frustration for one, anger, whatever. Just understand that we're all human and that recruiters are doing the best they know to do. Some may not be as efficient, proficient, and some recruiters just aren't as good in terms of follow up. So part of the selection process, I guess, for you as a job hunter, deals with qualifying the recruiter. Usually it's the other way around. Recruiters asking all the questions. Well, doesn't hurt to ask them a few too. And so I jotted down a couple, three that you might want to consider asking as it relates to whether you decide you'd like to have this recruiter in effect represent you to a company. One is, and they may call you and ask whether or not you would be available, interested, that sort of thing, and they may briefly read a job description to you. Uh, I guess I'd want to find out a few things. I think I'd want to understand a little bit about the company's relationship with that employer. How long have they worked with the employer? Is it their first job order that they've had? What I'm really asking about and the why behind that is I'd like to understand the depth of trust and communication that exists between the company and the recruiter. Because I can tell you, many, many times, a recruiter does not have a solid relationship with that employer. They're trying to earn one, granted, and they want to do the best they can to earn the trust of that hiring company, but they don't have it yet. And as a result, a lot of times the recruiter will not get a return phone call quickly. There's just not the communication. And again, I've been a recruiter. There are times where you bust your tail as a recruiter to find candidates, only to find that the company won't take your calls. They won't return them. And then when they finally do call you, they say, oh, yeah, no, we put that job on hold about 2 weeks ago. In the meantime, I've burned countless hours and energy, essentially just throwing it out the window. So as a recruiter, I've got to be sure that I can ideally work with client companies who are responsive. So that's a good question to ask. What's your relationship with this company? How long have you worked with them? What sorts of positions have you worked on? So you have a sense for that bond between the recruiting firm and that hiring company. A couple other things you might want to ask about, and this deals more so with the recruiter itself, and that is their experience within that industry and function. Is this something that they do on a regular basis? That sort of thing. How long have you been involved with the business? Again, whatever they could be a year in the business, but if they're good, then that's plenty. They're fine. The key here is going to be how they interact with their client firm, and another is what happens to my resume if I send it to you. Now, granted, I understand that you're going to send it to company X for the position you and I talked about, but what you need to get clear with the recruiter is that they will not willy-nilly just send your resume out for other jobs. That could get you in trouble, especially if the company they send it to knows your current employer. Again, that can be a problem. So you've got to be forceful, and you've got to say, look, I'm interested in this position, but you've got to give me your assurance that that my resume does not go outside your four walls unless you have my knowledge and approval of that. Because that can get me in trouble. If I'm employed, definitely can get me in trouble. If I'm not employed, it's not as big a deal, certainly from a confidentiality standpoint, but as we talked about in another of our Edge Library series, if I'm presented to a company by a recruiter and I'm not a fit at that company for that position, in effect, I can't myself approach that company on my own and try to get a job there. The company will say, well, Randy, you were introduced to us by recruiter X over here, and so if we hire you for any position here, we actually would owe a fee to company X, the recruiting firm X, and we're not prepared to do that. As a matter of fact, we don't even work with company X anymore. So now I'm sitting here saying, but I didn't even know that I'd been sent there. So get that assurance from the recruiter that the resume only goes for opportunities that not only are you aware of, but you have approved that they do that. So those are some things to be aware of. Try to get some ground rules straightened out in terms of the relationship that recruiter has with the company, and also what they do with your resume once you've sent it to them. That'll wrap it up for this in our Edge Library series, talking to job hunters about recruiters, and part 6 in that series. I'm Randy Wooden. Thanks for watching.